Good morning, John Wertz here. It's Saturday, November 22nd, 11 a.m. We are here with Commissioner Miller, and with me are Lana Horde, Luis Pedraza, and Larry Rogers. Again, good morning and welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here with you.
Okay. As we talked about, if you would, Commissioner Miller, take up to 5 minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what all you've done over your terms, what your plan is going forward
Okay.
into this next term, and then we'll go into a Q&A session.
Sure. Well, I'm Sid Miller. I've served in the Texas House prior to being your agriculture commissioner. While in the House, I chaired the Homeland Security and Public Safety, which we were all with gun laws, securing the Texas border. I chaired multiple times the House Agriculture and Livestock Committee. I was chairman of the House Republican Caucus. Since then, I've been your ag commissioner. Well, while in the House, I was a pro-life leader. I authored a sonogram bill, which saves about 15 to 20,000 babies a year, stripped $23 million away from Planned Parenthood, and a bunch of other stuff. But when I left the House, I became your agriculture commissioner. I'm in my third term. As your ag commissioner, I have reorganized the whole agency. We went through sunset. Said of the 200 state agencies, this is the best run state agency we've ever reviewed. So we're pretty proud of that. And it's not me, it's the good people that I have around me. They love their job. We have one of the lowest turnover rates in state government at the Department of Agriculture, which says a lot about how much people love their job and working there. We've, my inspectors for the fuel pumps, I eliminated 19 of those. It was taking 12 years to inspect the pumps. I got it done in 12 months, eliminated 19 positions, and we're driving 1.5 million miles less. So I outsource everything that I possibly can to the private sector. Found out that a lot of the scales around the state were not certified, so we launched Operation Maverick. I found 7,000 illegal businesses operating with illegal scales. We got those fixed. There was a 3-year backlog in getting a farm certified organic. We got that fixed in 120 days. The train's still running on time. We had only 200 members in our Go Texan. That's our marketing program that we do for the state. We've grown that to well over 2,000. We've added our own TV show. We've completed 14 seasons of Texas Agriculture Matters. We're in 65 million households across North America. We ended that program, started a new program in partnership with Bob and Kelly Phillips of Texas Country Reporter. They had the longest running TV show on the planet. So now our new program is called Texas Our Texas. And we're still on RFD TV network, all the streaming sources, a lot of the cable networks. And we just showcase the best of our Go Texan members, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So we do that. We developed for our Go Texan program our only NASCAR race team. All Go Texan sponsors on it. Go Texan logo on the car, the number 22 truck. Those are just some of the things we do kind of outside the box. We really focus on marketing Texas products, not just agriculture, but anything. Biden ran up a $50 billion agriculture trade deficit. We're going to buy $50 billion more food than we export. So this year, my staff, someone on my staff, we are engaging in 45 foreign trade missions. We will be in 45 different countries trying to close that trade deficit. Last month, I had the delegation from Taiwan in my office, and we closed the deal. They agreed to buy $10 billion new sales in Taiwan of Texas agriculture. Well, not just Texas, but agriculture products. And so we're working on that. We've got a lot of things facing us. Said, well, why do you want to run for re-election? I said, well, we're facing tariffs. I've got the bird flu. I've got the swine flu. I've got screw worms. This week I've got a new outbreak of equine herpes in our horse industry that's threatening that. We've got trying to save the shrimp industry from foreign imports. I'm bringing back the sugarcane production in South Texas. It was completely closed down because Mexico wouldn't pay their water bill. We've got new buyers for the plant. We're reopening that. We've just got lots and lots of stuff going on. I work very well with the Trump administration. I was co-chair of his Agriculture Advisory Committee. I put the whole committee together. We advised the president from time to time on agriculture issues. I'm personal friends with USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins. She grew up 25 minutes from my house. I've known her forever. Personal friends with Bobby Kennedy. Had lunch with him a few weeks back. We're both working on. I was working on MAHA before there was a MAHA. In the school lunch program, uh, when we were serving zero local products. Everything we served was ultra processed and flash frozen. Now we have our schools buying $300 million a year of locally grown products feeding their kids. So great relationship with Scott Turner, Secretary of HUD, Doug Burgum over at Interior. So we just have, Stephen Miller's a friend of mine. We've, done several things together. Susie Wiles, I in contact with her, on a regular basis. So we just, the previous administration, I had to sue, I think 4 times successfully. This administration, we're working to get with them instead of against them. So it's a breath of fresh air again. Is that am my 5 minutes up? Is that what that ding was?
I didn't quite get everything, but that's a lot. That's a
Okay.
big list already.
Yeah.
So you're talking about international, working with Secretary Rollins. What does that look like when Texas is involved in trying to do trade deals with other countries? How does that initiate? What do you have to do to go through the Fed, Secretary Rollins? What's the mechanics behind that? I mean, and how does the tariffs, you had mentioned that, how does that impact food, agricultural products? Because I thought that was being lessened, and do you have President Trump's ear about that?
Cool. That's a lot of questions there in that one question.
Yeah, sorry
That's a
about
lot
that.
of ground to cover. So the tariffs are our best friend. And if you look back the first Trump administration, he proved that. It's a mirror image of what he did the very first time. We use tariffs as a negotiating tool. The first time Trump said, farmers going to get a little rough, but I'll take care of you. I'm going to take this money I collect on these tariffs and I'll prop you up. Just hang with me. And we did. And at the end of that administration, we were getting the best prices we had ever gotten for our commodities. It was good times. Biden took over and he didn't hold the line. And so it went to pot again. So he's doing the same thing. Just this last week, he sat down with China. They've agreed to buy our soybeans again. He made a lot of deals there with the Asian countries. Japan is back online. So the commodity prices are going up. We're just at the tipping point. We're not over that yet, but we're definitely headed that way. So that's where we are on the tariffs. Working with the Trump administration, I'm honored to get to do that. I sat down with Brooke Rollins when she first got in and helped her bring down the price of eggs. And she actually had a 4-point plan. I talked her into a 5th-point plan of importing some eggs. If you want to bring the price of eggs down, go get some more eggs. So
Supply and demand.
we facilitated 700 ocean containers of eggs from Turkey, and that almost immediately dropped the price of eggs.
Wow.
So just things like that. I can't remember everything else you asked me with that question now, but I hope I covered it in my answer.
And that was in less than 2 minutes. That's pretty good. Thank you, Larry.
I grew up on a farm and ranch, and I'm very familiar with screwworms.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody that will be watching this is very familiar with the screwworm problem that we had years and years ago. And we lost a lot of calves,
Yeah.
screwworms. Could you give us an overview of the
Okay.
screwworm problem and how it
Sure.
got fixed and how it's coming back?
So the screwworm is a blowfly. It's a maggot. I don't know how to sugarcoat it. I'm glad we're not fixing to eat lunch, but it's a flesh-eating maggot is what it is. It's much like a maggot that you'd see on roadkill, except that maggot eats dead flesh. The range is called a screwworm, is it buries itself in live flesh. So it's a very detrimental to livestock. Of course, if you get any kind of open wound, That's where they like to lay their eggs. So if you're working, docking sheep or dehorning cattle or anything like that, they're subject to it. So you have to be very careful. Working with the USDA, their preferred method is a 70-year-old technology, which is to release sterile flies. The flies mate one time, so if you've got enough males shooting blanks, they finally, do attrition. But it takes a long time to do that. We started that program in 1939, and we eradicated them in 1966. So it's not an overnight. The problem is we don't have the flies. They're going to build a new fly factory. To get us enough flies, that's going to take 4 years. We don't have 4 years. I did find research where there's a fly bait that the USDA came up with in 1976, kills 90% of the screwworm flies. So I sat down with Brooke Rollins and her people. I said, look, y'all have already got the solution here. You've already done this once. Let's put out the fly bait and we'll fix the problem. They decided that it was environmentally insensitive to use the fly bait. And I said, well, why? They said, well, it would kill the good flies. I said, good flies? I mean, I don't know what a good fly is. I mean, what are you afraid of? House flies or stable flies? Anyway. So anyway, I pushed a little too hard on that and decided that the best avenue would be to sit down with Mexico. That's where the flies are. So we went to the Tri-National Accord. We took our research paper. We presented it to the Mexican. It's called Senacica. That's equivalent of USDA. And Senacica officials there, the head official was elated to find out that there was something besides sterile flies. So that's where it is now. We'll see if they manufacture the bait and put it out. If they do, we'll have this cleared up, and we could clear it up in 6 to 8 weeks instead of 39 years like it took before.
So one of the things when I just in talking to just general people, citizens in general, I think a big topic that people are concerned with is the food, what they're putting in food, steroids, or you give cattle, chicken steroids, and you're basically ingesting that yourself. And so they don't necessarily trust the food chain or the producers. They have to make a profit, and the reason they do all these things is to really get more production, right? So what do you have any thoughts around what to do to help the public consumer feel more comfortable about what's happening in the ag products? And that's not on the questionnaire, but I think that's something that when I talk to people, that just seems to be a common question.
Well, several fronts on that. This is something that like I said I was working Maha long before it was,
Yeah,
a buzzword.
it is Maha.
So the first thing that bothered me is I run the school lunch program, and so I'm responsible for 5.5 million school meals every day. And so when I took over, Michelle Obama had got a hold of that program. Instead of having healthy kids, we had healthy trash cans because it tastes like crap. They wouldn't eat it. I mean, it was horrible. It was ultra processed. That before we knew what that word was, but it was ultra processed with dyes and additives and preservatives. And then it was on top of that, it was flash frozen, sent out to the schools. They thawed it out, and the kids just wouldn't eat it. I mean, it's just horrible. So when I came in, we changed that. I challenged schools at least on Friday, Farm Fresh Friday, serve one product and bring the farmer in, meet the farmer Friday, tell them where the food comes from. So it was a slow start, but we've grown that program now, and our schools are buying 88% of the schools are participating in the program. It's voluntary. I don't believe in mandates. I believe in local control. And we're feeding over $300 million of locally grown products to our kids. Never flash frozen, not ultra processed, no added salt, no dyes, no preservatives. And so that's fresh. But we work on many other fronts too. We've set up certified Go Texan farmers markets where that's not coming from Mexico or Peru or some other place. We certify those, and we regulate and monitor those. We do farm inspections to make sure that we've had outbreaks of spinach with E. coli and salmonella. So we actually go to the farms now, and we do training on how to keep on food safety. And since we started that program, we have not had one illness outbreak from those vegetables that are eaten raw off the farm. at least not in Texas, not under my watch.
And I like the school just as a model because I think the kids especially are more susceptible than anyone else. We're old people, they can probably kill us off easier, Larry, but the young people
Yeah.
is really who we should be focused
And
on.
just kind of off the record, but if there's something good came out of COVID, I call them these COVID moms. They want to know what's in their food now. They want to know where it's coming from, and so that's helped. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good one.
Oh,
Mike?
So I'm sure you saw all the stuff about Doge at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
Everybody seems to be focused right now on doing what it sounds like you've already done in the Department of Agriculture. And it sounds like from your answers to these questions that you already basically don't make hardly any budgetary impact of the 150 administrations we have funded by Texas budget. It sounds like you're covering your expenses with what you raise and fees and fines and so on and so forth. Tell us how you did that and whether it was that way when you came in and basically what you did to Doge the Department of Agriculture.
Well, it's one of the first toughest things I did when I took over office. I had to make a really tough decision. Most politicians would have not done what I did. When I took over, I was $18 million in the red, and I had 8 months left on my budget. And what had happened, the legislature said, we're no longer going to fund the Texas Department of Agriculture. We're not going to supplement your funding. You're going to have to pay your own way. But the previous administration, the previous ag commissioner did not raise the fees to cover his expenses. That's why we were so upside down. So I had to make a decision that, and I didn't think it was right for Buc-ee's to pay half their cost of registering their pumps and the taxpayer pay the other half. So I made the decision that we're going to pay our own way. And we're one of the few agencies that actually we pay our own way. We don't really use, there's some exceptions, but we pretty much pay our own way. The services we provide, our customers or our constituents, they reimburse us for those. So I basically had to double the fees on everything. And it was like, I got the crap kicked out of me for that. I mean, because I knew it was the right thing to do. The taxpayers should not be subsidizing, license fees. That you should be able to pay your own way. So we've done that. We're doing great now. We've got that behind us. Like I said, the agency's running on all cylinders. We've streamlined it. We've got largest, and the only way to put this, the largest ag state is California, but they have an $80 billion wine industry we don't have. They have a little over 2,500 employees, but they don't do food nutrition. That's my biggest division. Florida's number 3. They do food nutrition. They have over 4,500 employees. We do it better, more efficient, faster. I have a little over 700.
Wow.
And we're doing the same thing Florida is doing with 4,500. But I outsource everything I possibly can to the private sector and get government out of that business.
One quick follow-up. Sure. So you also answered the question about would you be in favor of eliminating property taxes? So based on that, what impact if we eliminated property taxes would it do to your budget?
Well, we don't get any property tax money, so it has zero effect on my budget. Like I said, we pay our own way. If you get a pesticide license from us, that's $75, and we use that money to run the program. If you get a nursery floral certificate from us to run your garden center or your greenhouse, that's what we use. We use that money to run the program. So we're, with a few exceptions, the state gives us some grant money that we disperse, but other than the grant money, we're pretty much, we earn our own income.
Okay, one of your challengers had indicated that farmers used to receive over 40 cents of every food dollar. Today they earn less than 16 cents. That's why Texas has lost an average of, let's quote unquote, 68 family farms every single week since 2018. My vision is to reconnect Texas farmers and ranchers directly with Texas families. Can you comment on that?
Well, I don't think those numbers are accurate. I tell you what, I've been farming a long time. And that 40 cents out of every dollar, that's a 40% profit. I don't know any farmer that's ever made a 40% profit. In 15 cents, a 15% profit, we'll take that all day long. Now those are obviously national figures. I don't know that one agriculture commissioner over one department can have a lot of influence over that. But I'll tell you what we do. I mean, the Texas Department of Agriculture, we lead the nation in sales, agriculture exports, cattle, cotton, wool, mohair, horses, sheep, goats, hay, honey. I mean, we are the powerhouse. So we drive that and we hustle it. I mentioned earlier in my opening that we will be in 45 different countries promoting our products for our producers. No one else even does half that. No one else even does a fourth of that. So we know how to promote our producers. We've got the relationship with the USDA, better relationship than any other ag department in the United States. So we're moving forward. We're doing everything we possibly can. We're bringing back the sugarcane industry. We're bringing back the shrimp industry. We're working on the water, getting water in the Rio Grande Valley and down the Rio Grande River with Mexico. We're working with Mexico on the screw worms to protect our livestock. I didn't mention this, but we provide biosecurity. We stop trucks as they come into Texas and periodically all over the state of Texas. And we destroy somewhere between 5 and 12 truckloads of material a week that's infested with some type of disease, insect, invasive species like that. So we have over 130 statutory functions. I wish I could talk about them all, but it's, we think we're doing an excellent job for the Texas farmer and rancher. And if you ask them, I think they'll tell you the same thing.
In one of your answers, you said you're an 8th generation Texas farmer and rancher. I guess that would have something to do with all the progress that you've made. You know your business.
Well, I mean, agriculture is my life. It's my heritage. Like you, I grew up on family farm. I still make my living off the land. I've raised just about every crop that will grow in central Texas and every livestock or bird that will, that you can have on the farm. I've been a cattle feeder, a peanut farmer, farmed pecans, grain sorghum, corn. I've had cattle, horses, sheep, goats, chickens. I raised exotic pheasants for a while. I mean, you just name it. I think that the one of the things that shaped my life probably more than anything was FFA, and I just determined that I wanted to be an ag teacher. So when I went to college, that's what I was. I took vocational agriculture. When I got out of college, I was actually an ag teacher, FFA advisor, and 4-H leader, and I think that inspired me probably more than any other thing I've done in my life is being an ag teacher. And of course, I had to teach all those agriculture skills, and you can't teach them unless you know them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is the FAA still very active?
It's very, very active. Over 600,000 members active.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's the largest youth organization in the United States.
That's actually one of my questions, but how do you get kids to we need to become more of a, not everybody can go to college, not everybody,
No.
And then I think we also need more of an emphasis on our ag products on a kid level. Okay, my granddaughter just went to a farm where they talked to the farmers and they played with cows and horses and stuff. But that's a Christian school. They don't, public schools don't necessarily do that.
Some do, not many of them though.
Yeah, and so I'd like to see, FFA is great, the people that do it, and we try to encourage that. But what do you have any idea how we can help our schools just become more friendly towards ag issues, ag education?
Sure. Yeah. One of the things we do on my Farm Fresh program, my Farm to School program, is we figured out real quick that the kids have no idea where their food comes from. They think it comes from the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
So along with our Farm Fresh program, we partnered with Scott's Miracle Grow, and they would furnish us with gardening kits, and we sent these gardening kits out to these younger grades and taught them how to plant their own little garden. You know, we call it a salsa garden,
Awesome.
peppers and tomatoes. And so they would get a little dirt under their fingernails and figure out where those vegetables come from and how hard it was to grow them. And they took some pride in that. And it actually that builds good eating habits if they understand the importance and where good fresh produce comes from. And so we think we've made headway on that through that one program alone. And we do others. We have young farmer programs where we partner with young people to give them a start in agriculture. It's kind of hard to get a start if you're not already, your family's not already in it. So we have a program for anybody that wants to get involved in agriculture. We'll match you dollar for dollar. If you want to buy 20 heifers, well, we'll buy 10 of them, and you buy 10, and let's get started. So we do that, and we're at that. The legislature is actually expanding that program. It's been so successful that we've expanded that program this year, and it's really not funded by taxpayer dollars. The way I do that, when you buy a farm license plate, a farmer can get a special plate, farm plate, and there's an option to pay an extra $5. And we take that $5 from every plate and we put it in that pot. Then we help a youth get started in agriculture.
So it's called Texas Farm Fresh Program?
It's called a Young Farmer Program.
Yeah.
And the other one's called the Farm Fresh Program. Two different
Yeah, I'd
programs.
like to look at them up. Okay,
Sure.
Thank you.
Well,
So water's always been a big deal in Texas. Tell us about how Texas Department of Agriculture impacts water control, what are some of the things you've done to make sure that all of our agriculture has the water it needs?
Well, our state's been in a drought, but really, we're really hurting in the Rio Grande Valley, and that's where we grow our vegetables, our citrus, our sugar cane. And the reason is there's no groundwater down there and no lakes. We have 2 lakes on the Rio Grande. That's it. Lake Falcon and Lake Amistad. And for the last 2 or 3 years, they've been mud holes. Well, we have a treaty with Mexico. They're supposed to release water into that watershed, so our cities and farmers will have water. They haven't been doing that. They're way in arrears over their water debt. So they did have a little tropical depression on the east side of Mexico there, and a couple of their lakes filled up, but they were below the dams. So that when they release out of that, it just runs out into the Gulf of America, right? Mm-hmm. Gulf of America. So the TCEQ in the irrigation district wouldn't let the farmers use that water. Said, well, you're not allocated for that. We can't. And so I just issued an executive order. I said, you farmers, I'm going to issue an executive order. I'm giving you executive privilege to use the water that's running down the Rio Grande out into the Gulf. And that got everybody to the table. And Mexico got to talking. They said, well, if y'all going to use it, we want credit for it. I said, well, give them credit for it. They're not going to pay it anyway. Just, let's use it. I mean, it's just stupid. We do stupid stuff, letting that good water run right by the farmers. So we got that going. And then we've got I went up and saw Stephen Miller, and I told him, I said, hey, here's the deal. We can't get Mexico to pay our water debt. Ted Cruz had tried to get something done, John Cornyn, others, and I just went straight to the top. He said, well, no one told me about this. Well, we'll fix this next week. Next week, Trump said, Mexico, if you don't pay your water bill, we're cutting your water off from the Colorado. And oh my gosh, here they come to the table. So we've been working on that. Another thing that's really, really exciting is deep earth water. I'm the only one talking about it, one of the few that actually knows about it, but deep in the core of the earth is a lot of water, and it's under high pressure. If you ever hear about an artesian well, somebody hits one of those, the water just spurts. That's that deep earth water. I call it Genesis water because God said during Noah's flood that the earth opened up and the water came forth. Well, that was this artesian water that came from deep in the earth. So we have technology now, like MRI technology, where we can x-ray the earth in slices, and we can find these little cracks where it tries to make its way to the top. You can't drill down to the core of the earth. It's too costly. But you can drill down 300, 500 feet and find one of these little fingers. So we have that technology. And that's how we're going to bring the sugarcane industry back. And how we can stop Marvin Nichols Reservoir. We don't need that reservoir anymore because now we've got a new source of water. It's going to, in the next 10 years, it will revolutionize the way we gain water for crops, for municipalities. It's a game changer.
How deep is that Genesis water?
Well, it's in the core of the earth. I don't know how many feet that is, but that's
Very,
too far to
very,
drill.
very deep.
But it's like oil, a gusher, or it's like molten lava. It tries to find a pressure relief, so it'll find a crack or fissure in the earth, and it'll work its way to the top. So by doing this cross section of MRI X-rays, within 95% accuracy, we can find those now and drill into those and hit those. This one company, they will guarantee you don't pay them a dime. They will come in and drill the well at their cost. And if they don't hit it, you don't owe them a dime. That's how positive they are on the technology. Of course, when you hit it, you're going to pay them for the water. They make you put up an escrow, so you can't just, walk off.
It's not my turn, but desalinization, since we're talking water.
Yeah.
We have not, well, maybe I'll wait for my turn.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I guess
I have been interested in that for a long time.
Sure.
So, one of the first questions is, what are the three main reasons you're running? A second part to that, you may have missed it, was how many terms do you plan to serve? Have you decided on that?
Well, I'm going to play a minimum of 4. This is be my 4th one.
Okay.
People say, well, when are you going to retire? I said, I am retired. What? You're not retired? Yeah, I am. I said, retirement is doing exactly what you want to do when you want to do it. And that's what I do as ag commissioner. I'm doing exactly what I love to do. I mean, I think God put me in this position for a purpose. This is typically this position, and I'm not disparaging people that have come before me, but they've used it as a stepping stone. They've never really been the ag commissioner. They've helped the office of ag commissioner while they ran for lieutenant governor or comptroller or some other office. I got the best job of all. I mean, I don't want to be lieutenant governor. I mean, that would be a sidestep or a step down for me. I mean, he didn't get to do any of the kind of great stuff that I get to do. So I'm going to do it probably until I feel I'm not effective. But right now I feel like I'm very effective, and that we've got a good program running, and I want to keep going forward. And I've assembled a good team, and it takes time to do that. So I'm running for my 4th term.
Okay. And just a quick question. You've always supported and abided by the RPT platform, Republican
Yes, sir.
Party of Texas. Some people say it's too voluminous, too long. What say you?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, it needs to be long. We need to know, we need to give our legislators, elected officials, direction. Some of them need it. Apparently, they don't. They're lost and don't know what road to go down. So we need some guidance. We need direction. I support it. Always have.
All righty, Larry.
One of our questions was, be the key factors in a guest worker program, and what criteria would you require for each? And why do you think that they should pay not the taxpayers?
So the guest worker program, in a perfect world, would implement my plan. Let me just back up. Agriculture is not as dependent on illegal workers as we have in the past. 2 reasons. One is technology. We just about harvest everything mechanically now. Not all of it. We still watermelons and tree crops like citrus and apples. We still have to hand pick, but most of it we've got technology. We have robots that milk cows now. I mean, and we have tractors that drive themselves. So it's not as big a call for hand labor as we used to. But 4 years ago, we had about 80,000 H2A. That's the guest worker program you're talking about. We've added to that every year, so now we have about 400,000. So we've gone from less than 100,000 to 400,000 legal migrant workers. So, and we want more migrant workers, because we don't. A farm and rancher, especially a dairyman, does not want to work illegal people. I mean, the biggest nightmare a dairyman can have is somebody wake him up 3 a.m. and say, "Hey, boss, all the milk cans are gone. They picked them up. What are we going to do?" mean, you don't want to put yourself in that position. So you want legal guest workers or legal local workers, not illegal workers. So the ideal program would be a guest worker program. The problem is they come up here, their 10 months is up, they don't go back, they slip off into the shadows and go to work in the construction industry, and then that slot's taken up. It doesn't open up again. To prevent that, the guest worker would come up here, sign the contract for his 10 months, go back, you withhold 20% out of their check or some number, a withholding, just like income tax. And you go back, fulfill your contract, you get it reimbursed, you get it back. Now they've got an incentive to go back. Now, right now, under the current program, there's no incentive to go home. The incentive is stay up here and keep working. And they would go back. And they would need to pay whatever it is. I don't know what the number is. Let's say they pay a coyote $10,000 to get them up here. They would need to pay the guest worker program $5,000 or whatever it takes to run the program. And if they didn't go back, that money would forfeit and go back to run the program. The taxpayer shouldn't be paying one dime for the guest worker program, and we are now. But the program could pay for itself. It would give an incentive for them to honor the contract. They come back the second year, third year, and say, you're pretty good. We'll hold 15%. You're a good guy. Yeah, this is the fourth year. We'll drop yours to 10. We can count, and just kind of reward them. And I think it'd be. I presented this to Congress, several members of Congress. It's like radioactive. It's like kryptonite. No one wants to touch immigration. I mean, it's just like I don't want to. I'm not even. Don't bring it to me. But I think it would be. I think it sounds sensible.
All right.
Well, and back to I think water is one of they call it the new liquid gold. Okay, so and like East Coast, West Coast, San Diego tried to put in a desalination plant, total disaster. But that was California, San Diego. Have we thought about desalination plants and getting at least more water? Because if you can get more water doing that, then water may not be as high in terms of a cost for consumers, and you can use it for farming.
So the last 10 years, I've been the only statewide elected official saying we're out of water, we're running out of water, we're running out of water. And, everybody's good about describing the problem, but no one ever has a solution. But I have solutions. One is rainwater catchment. We spend millions and millions of dollars getting rid of stormwater drainage. We could capture that water off this parking lot, off of distribution warehouses. It's relatively clean, and use that water. You wouldn't even have to clean it up to use it for, irrigation on the city parks and right of ways. It could be used for industrial use, and it's be cheap to clean up. But we don't do that. We still spend millions of dollars getting rid of it and send it down the creek out into the Gulf. But to your specific, then there's others, but I'm going to run out of time. I want to address your desalination project. I've been promoting that for 10 years. We are actually well into that. A lot of people don't know that. We have over 20 cities in Texas that are running desal plants, but none of them are on the coast. They are desalination brackish water in West Texas. El Paso and the two big port cities of El Paso and Big Springs have been using desal now for almost 20 years. But we have other cities like on the Brazos River is salty. A lot of people don't know that. Right up by me, Granbury is put in a desal plant. They couldn't use the water out of Lake Granbury because it's too salty. So they put in a little desal plant, and it's cheap compared to seawater. Seawater is not cheap. It's got lots and lots of salt. This has a little bit of salt in it. Another bright spot is I've been calling on the oil and gas industry to quit using fresh water. So now they are using desal to clean up brackish, and they don't even have to clean it up to drinking water quality. They can clean it up enough to frack with, and we've talked them into recycling it. So now they're using brackish water, cleaning it up. They're recycling the brackish water, cleaning it up a second, third, and fourth time to frack with, and they're not using, they probably reduced their freshwater use probably by 30 to 40, maybe up to 50% now.
Yeah, that's good.
Through desal.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, not many people do, but I'm on top of it. I know it.
I did not know that.
Awesome. There's been some criticism about our Department of Agriculture's response to the hurricane disaster relief.
Really?
In the past, in some press, there's been, maybe it was too slow. Tell us about what has been done to make that effective, and what you're aware of that we did, and what we're doing well, and
Okay.
what you think maybe improve on.
Well, I'm not disputing what you say, but I think there may be some confusion. The agency that got all the criticism was the General Land Office under George P. Bush, because he didn't respond to rebuild the hurricane damage on the coast.
Right.
My agency, there's several agencies as part of Texas Department of Emergency Management. We have our own lane that we're responsible for. So we come in, since we do the food nutrition program, when they set up the shelters, I'm the one that feeds everybody, the humans in those shelters. But what you don't see is I set up shelters for the animals. We have lots and lots of displaced animals. So I've got to get cattle panels, I've got to get water troughs, I've got to get hay delivered, I've got to go get dog food. I mean, we house stray horses, goats, sheep, pigs, but we also have emus and ostriches and lions and pot-bellied pigs and dogs and cats. And I mean, it's a nightmare to set that up in less than 24 hours. And so we do that. We do the people shelters, we do the animal shelters, but we also coordinate agricultural response. So in the Panhandle fires in last year, I coordinated and scheduled delivery of over 30,000 round bales of hay that were donated to me. I set up my own disaster relief fund, separate from the government. It's non-government dollars. It's called the State of Texas Agriculture Relief Fund. I raise that money, and we help farmers get back up on their feet with things that government programs don't pay for or insurance doesn't pay for. Like the flood victims in the Hill Country recently, we would come in and pay for 80% to replace the barbed wire and T-posts that got washed down the river, or barns that got washed down the river. Or we would come in and we would pay 80% to help bury all the dead animals in the fire, or the drowned animal. I mean, that's a biohazard. We got to get rid of them. So there's expenses there that aren't covered. So that's what my fund does. We've raised over probably $3 million for that, and we don't hold any admin out of that. 100% of it we get back into the hand of the farmer to try to help them get back up on their feet, and it's non-taxpayer dollars.
Okay. So your opponent had indicated that you had rehired a top aide who had pled guilty to commercial bribery for soliciting payments from farmers seeking hemp licenses. Then paid him a significant amount, I think over 200,000, back as the chief of staff. Called it cronyism, has no place in public service. Can you address that for us?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. So I've been investigated. Of course, my enemies, always file erroneous charges to me, and this was another case of those. So they wanted to investigate me. They couldn't find anything on me. They took my political consultant of 25 years and said, Mr. Smith, we need to know what you can give us any kind of dirt on Sid Miller. You do that, this goes away, you walk out the door. What do you know? And he said, well, I'll tell you everything I know about Sid Miller, but there ain't no dirt. And and so they just hounded him, and arrested him. Erroneous was absolutely no truth to it. It's very unfortunate because it bankrupted him. His wife left him over it. He became physically ill, but he just didn't have. If he'd had anything to tell him, I guess he would have told him, but there just wasn't. So we got right down to the trial date. He'd already spent $350,000, and that's what bankrupted him. It's kind of like they did Trump, convicted him of 90-something felonies. And his lawyer said, you're innocent. We don't have any problem proving it. But look, they've offered you a sweetheart deal. You're going to go in front of a George Soros judge here in Travis County, a George Soros district attorney, and you're going to face a Travis County Democrat jury. We can't guarantee you that you're going to walk out of that courtroom. You may go to prison, because we just can't predict that. We recommend that you take deferred adjudication, so he's not a convicted felon, you pay the small fine and do the 20 hours community service. So he was looking, he said, well, I don't have the money to go to court anyway. So I think I'll just take the deal. So he took the deal. I think it's 20 hours community service, paid a fine, and then in a few months, it's expunged from his record. So that's where he gets that. He did plead guilty. I mean, he did, but he had talked to me about it. I said, you need to take the deal. You can't risk going to prison and go in front of that, Democrat jury. I am the most popular statewide elected official. I get more votes than Abbott or Dan Patrick or Paxton or any of them. They would love to nail me, somehow. And that's what they were trying to do. And they got what they wanted. They got the headlines. So my opponent now can use that against me. And that's exactly what he's doing. Instead of building himself up, he's trying to, tear me down. So it's unfortunate. And I feel real sorry for him. So I hired him as my chief of staff. Oh my God, he's made so many good changes. I mean, the best hire I've ever made is hiring Todd Smith as my chief of staff. He's brilliant. I knew he was brilliant, but he spends 18 hours a day working at his job, and he gets paid a lot less than most chief of staff. Most chief of staffs make a third more than what he's making. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of money. But if you compare it to the others, other state government, he's on the low end of the scale.
We have city executives and Conroe making that kind of money and more.
Oh yeah.
Three of them.
And
Making
a
north
lot
of
of commissioners is not a shabby job either.
Yeah. The other statewide chiefs of staff making excess of 300,000.
Yeah. That's not a shabby. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we got about 5 minutes left, so if you want to go ahead and take this time, unless you guys.
I have one.
Just
quick
go ahead and
question.
keep asking questions.
And more, okay, thank you for President Trump, okay, but you've seen both. You've seen the President Trumps of the world and the Bidens of the world. As a commissioner, what would you do to help mitigate we're going to have another Democratic president at some point.
Oh, I hope not.
I'm sorry, but that's just
perish the thought. Perish the
the
thought.
country is a funny animal. Okay?
Oh, I know. You're right. I mean, I agree with you. It's inevitable someday, sometime.
So, what in your mind?
I'm kind of looking for that 20 or 30 year run on myself.
Well, I would like that too. But my question was, and that's what I was going to ask that earlier, is what would you do as commissioner to kind of mitigate a Democratic presidency, much of what you saw with Biden, to help smooth that out a little bit?
Well, I don't know that I'd help smooth it out. I mean, I fought back against Biden. I mean, I sued him. First time I sued him and won. They decided they were going to do pandemic relief for farmers. And you could apply for some relief from the, COVID. And we needed it. I won't go into that. It takes too long. But to apply for this program, you couldn't be white. Everybody could apply except white people. And so I thought, every government document I ever signed said we don't discriminate on race, creed, or color. That's what's up. So I sued them. Me and Stephen Miller, I mentioned earlier. And we won that one right off the bat. They just thought, they're on to us. So we won that one. I sued him again. He told me, of course, I run the school lunch program. He said, you're going to adopt our LGBTQ guidelines, or we're not going to give you any lunch money. We're not going to send you the school lunch money. I said, no, we're not doing that. So I got my best lawyer, Ken Paxton, and we sued him for that. And we won that one. We didn't win it just for Texas, though. We won it for the entire United States. No one had to implement that. I sued him on waters of the U.S. and got an injunction. It was going to basically put agriculture out of business, oil and gas, timber, mining. They were after the whole 30 by 30 deal. And that's another long discussion. I sued him another time over the lesser prairie chicken, trying to shut down the agriculture and oil and gas. We won that one. And so if we have another Democrat president, I'm going to fight back. I'm not caving in. If they want to work with me, I'll work with them all day long. But if they want to, put in all that same old liberal woke agenda, I'm fighting back. I'm fighting back.
And that's really what, you have to use the legal system because.
Yeah, that's
what
it.
you got. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, we're at the moment. If you want to take up 5 minutes on your closing, and we'll wrap it up.
You know, I'm here, getting vetted for reelection. I would be honored to have a reelection. I don't take it just because I'm the incumbent that I deserve it. I work at this job. I always have. I think y'all maybe seen a little insight into that in the interview. I try to surround myself with really good people that are smarter than me, and that's how we're successful. I don't claim to know everything, but I get people in certain positions that know everything and know that business. So that's how we move Texas forward. That's how a general would do it. That's how a CEO would do it. This is a $7 billion state agency. So to explain that, my budget is larger than the budget of 37 governors. So to run that efficiently, I have to have good people around me. So my goal as your Texas Agriculture Commissioner is to be the best agriculture commissioner Texas has ever had, and continue to do that and improve. And I mentioned earlier in my opening that I've got a lot of work left to do. We've got, we're fighting the cotton jassy that could destroy 7 million acres of cotton. We got the rice leafhopper that could destroy our rice industry. We're fighting back on that. We're fighting the foreign shrimp that's almost put our shrimp industry out. We're bringing back the sugarcane industry. We're fighting for healthy meals in our schools. I'm trying to get fluoride out of our drinking water. The list goes on and on and on. We're working on the tariffs with Trump. We're making investments in foreign markets, trying to expand our markets. We've got a farm bill that's 3 years overdue, and it's we've got to work on that. So we work real hard to build relationships with our Texas delegation. I've got personal cell phone number of just about every one of them. And we have a great relationship with the Trump administration. Trump calls me Trump's man in Texas. So, and I'm proud of that we have that working relationship, and with his staff. And then, I have the cell phone numbers of most of his, cabinet. So it makes it a lot easier when you're on the winning side. But if I'm not on the winning side, I'll fight for our side, tooth and nail. And I have a track record to prove that. So going forward, I would be honored, to have this endorsement. Y'all are very influential down here. I'm solid conservative. You can look at my voting record in the House. I was listed. Me and Randy Weber went back and forth is the most conservative in the House when we served there together. We've, I would certainly appreciate your consideration and then endorsement of this esteemed group.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming in, and good luck in your campaign.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.